right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of The Teardown. My name is Jeff Gluck. I'm along with Jordan Bianchi. We are motorsports writers for The Athletic, and today I'm here at Kansas Speedway, and Jordan is at home in Charlotte area before we reconvene next week for Talladega. But right now we're here to talk about Kansas, and this race looked completely different from what we thought it was going to be, because it didn't seem like it was. Thought it was going to be pretty straightforward for most of it. No natural cautions for the vast majority of the race. Then you have looks like it's going to come down to a tire call. Jordan, you have Tyler Reddick had 4 lap pressure tires. And I said 5 on TV, but from what scoring said, he had 4 lap pressure tires. He tracks down Denny Hamlin, takes the lead, but Denny Hamlin is able to pass him back, and it looks like Denny is going to get some sort of redemption for last fall, when, of course, all the Toyotas were the best and they threw it away for a Hendrick Motorsports driver to win instead. Then overtime comes out. The Toyotas get together again, and it looks like Hendrick Motorsports driver is going to win at the expense of Toyota yet again. But Tyler Reddick comes through and wins his 5th race of the year already in 9 races. That is the first driver to win at least 5 races within the first 9 since Dale Earnhardt in 1987. So the Reddick train keeps on rolling. Toyota wins for the 7th time in 9 races. And we have another intermediate track race where it looks like it's going to be, the familiar faces, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting because we watched the end of this race and I was like, man, they did it again. Toyota threw away another race at Kansas they should have won. And Kyle Larson, who we sit there and talk about, is on this losing streak, which it was really weird to talk about Kyle Larson's losing streak, by the way, because he won a championship in the middle of that. So I'm not sure how to rationalize that a little bit. But it looks like Kyle Larson's going to win this race. And then Tyler Reddick comes out of absolute nowhere and earns it. Interesting race, great finish. I don't know how people are going to dissect this race. Do you just look at the last 5-6 laps and everything that ensued, and Hamlin and Reddick battle, which was really entertaining, and everything there, and then the overtime restart, and then Reddick going back after Larson? Do you focus on that, or do you focus on the overall body of work for the race? And maybe this wasn't the best showing on an intermediate track again, which is now 2 in a row. And maybe a little, raises some red flags a little bit. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But the regular players, like you said, Jeff, are in the mix. It's the Hamlins, it's the Reddicks, it's the Larsons, it's the Briscoes, the Bells. Like it feels, Elliott. It's like it's a very small group of drivers right now who really feel like week in and week out you can win. And if you notice, by the way, I didn't mention Ryan Blaney because I still think Penske's issues are on their intermediate tracks, and we saw that happen again today.
Well, let's talk about the finish first of all, because I think that's top of mind for everybody right now. It looks like Denny's going to win the race, and Cody Ware sort of inexplicably spins out. Now, I went back to watch Cody Ware's in-car camera and listen to the chatter about it, and it sounds like he had a tire blow in that corner, spun out. Very unfortunate timing, obviously, for the leaders, given that they were about to come to the white flag. Race would have been over. Now, Denny Hamlin said on pit road to us afterwards, I don't even know how you could spin out going that speed. But he also said that, because I said, well, I mean, do you think you like that?
That's a good dig. I mean, you just that's a good dig. That's good.
I said, NASCAR's held the caution, right? Like, all year we've been talking, they held the caution. Is this one that they should have held? And he said, no, I mean, the car is in the middle of the track. So he wasn't upset with NASCAR. Why didn't you hold the yellow? Just let us finish, kind of thing. Like, he's like, no, he came up the track.
Yeah, he did come up the track. Like, I don't even think it's up to debate, because I went back like you and watched it. It's like, there was a couple cars that went by him, and you're like, whoa, like, I have no issue with that. I think it's a legitimate caution, and it would have been easy for NASCAR actually to hold the caution in that point. And I think they did the right thing there. I do think that this is going to set up an interesting debate. Whether you agree with it or not, I think the topic du jour this week is going to be overtime. And should NASCAR get rid of overtime? And is it necessary? Or do you want races now to finish organically? And if they hit the caution with 1 to go, it's over. I think that's going to be the talking point this week.
Wow, I'm interested. I'd like to hear more about why you feel that way, because that hadn't actually crossed my mind at all. There's been some races where you go, oh yeah, like Phoenix last fall, or they have to do something different with overtime. This wasn't one of them for me, where I've been thinking, that's the end of overtime. This will bring up the debate. Why do you feel that way, I guess?
And I'm not saying I want to get rid of overtime. I just want to make sure I clarify that. I'm okay with it. But I think there's going to be a segment of fan who looks at this and says, this would have robbed a driver who was deserving of a win. He was ahead of the race, or ahead of the field. He was going to win. And then we had an overtime. And then you set up chaos and cars are spinning and wrecking. And it's not what NASCAR is. In an era now when we're going back to the roots and you want things to be more kind of like how they used to be back in the day, there is, and we know this isn't the first time this debate has come up. There is going to be talk about, man, do we need this? Is this what NASCAR is? Do we need to just have 5-lap sprint to the finish, or 2-lap sprint to the finish, or should it just, the race should play out organically? And if there's a caution with a couple laps to go and it ends the race, then so be it. Do we want NASCAR to be, basically re-rack them and keep running it until you get a finish? And I don't know. I just feel like today, there's going to be some people that look at this and say, I'm not happy with this. I want to go back to how it used to be.
Okay. Interesting. Well, let's talk about what happened. So Denny Hamlin has the choice to pick top or bottom. He goes bottom, with Kyle Larson choosing to line up behind him. So it puts Reddick on the top. Bell picks second row top, right? I mean, obviously once Larson picked bottom and Bell's the next person to go, he's going to pick top there. So Hamlin restarts and Larson is not pushing him at all. As you might guess there, as we've seen before from Larson, as soon as he gets a chance past the start finish line, what does he do?
Goes the inside.
He goes inside and splits Hamlin 3 wide, putting Hamlin in a vulnerable position. Side drafts off Hamlin, and they go into turn 1 with Larson on the bottom, Hamlin middle, and Reddick 3 wide top. Now, as they get into turn 1, and I wish we could show you the videos. We're talking about this, but we don't have those kind of rights. Bell gets a big run behind Reddick on the top. And Reddick has left enough room for Bell to get to his right rear. So he basically, there's a very small lane up there, but Bell is there. Meanwhile, Reddick feels like he needs to go down and try to protect. So he gets down to try to cover Hamlin, who is now coming to his inside as Larson pulls ahead of the 3 wide Toyota guys, right? Well, it's hard to tell here. And Reddick even said he wasn't sure if they just got really tight or if they made contact there. But basically, whatever happens with Hamlin and Reddick sends Reddick up the track into Bell as Bell is trying to clear them with a run, and Bell gets tagged and put in the wall by Reddick. And now Reddick said afterwards in the news conference that we just ended moments ago that he's not sure whether they had the contact, but either way, when you get tight and you shoot up the track like that with these cars, like it happens so quickly that there's really nothing you can do about it. And he felt like right there, his car just shot up. Unfortunately, he clips Bell. Bell has damage, maybe, broken toe link, flat tire, something. And Bell bounces off the wall, then ricochets, hits Hamlin. Hamlin has to go all the way down the track to the apron. And now Hamlin no longer has any angle to be able to counter Larson. So Hamlin is going to lose a bunch of speed here. And even though he sort of emerges in second briefly, he's got no momentum at all. And so then Reddick is able to come on the high line with a ton of momentum. He streaks around. And as Larson takes the white flag, Reddick is able to catch up. Reddick has a better car. Larson said afterwards on pit road that, I went in there, and as soon as, he's like, oh, I'm clear. This is going to be great. Like, he was very happy about that. And then he gets into turn 3 and he's like, oh, I'm tight. I'm plowing here. And so he was hoping to try to defend Reddick. But once Reddick was able to get side by side there on the backstretch, they kind of battled it for a little bit, but Reddick clears and Reddick wins again. Now, the big loser here, though, Jordan, was Christopher Bell, because he was going to at least finish 4th, right? And so unfortunately for him, and TV doesn't show this, but if you go back and look on his in-car, Bell then spins out. He actually spins onto pit road, and they're like, get it going.
They mentioned it on TV.
Okay, they mentioned it. Okay, so he limps home, and he ends up P20, one lap down. It was weird. They actually told him, don't worry about crossing the finish line. The race is over. Technically, he could have finished on the lead lap in P20. I don't know if people care about lead lap finishes or not, but he just came to pit road. He could have crossed the finish line, but they were at that point so demoralized. I went to talk to Christopher Bell afterwards, and I was hoping to get some insight into what happened, but he's asking me, he's like, who hit me? I don't know what happened. So, TV's not there, obviously. And I'm like, well, I think Reddick hit you, because he came on the radio and said, apologize to 20. But he was like, well, I don't know what happened. So he was obviously extremely pissed, as was Denny. But it's these overtime restarts. This is sort of the stuff that happens. And at least Denny, from his point of view, he points wise, you salvaged P4, but Bell, this is a really tough pill to swallow for Christopher Bell, who is 10th in points and actually loses a spot on a day where he was in contention for the win.
Yeah, and it continues what has been an uneven start to the year, where they've had speed but not the finishes. Even this race, they were off at the beginning of this race. They kind of had to rebound a little bit, and they got back in contention. They just haven't really put together a full, complete race where you're like, oh, okay, that's the 20 team that we know. Now, all that said, they're still 10th in points, a lot of season left, and you're gonna, there's a lot worse spots to be in. Ask Ross Chastain or Kyle Busch right now. But yeah, I mean, if you're Christopher Bell, these are the tracks you eat at. These intermediate tracks where Toyota is so good, you expect to go there like, man, a bad day, we're gonna finish in the top 10. A good day, we've got a really good chance to win. And then this happens, and then one of your teammates or quasi teammates, is because of this, and that's just part of it. But the same thing that happened last fall, like it just these overtime restarts, they happen. They're chaotic. Drivers are super aggressive. You have to be, and it doesn't matter who you drive for or what you drive. It's kind of all out, and that's part of it. And it's just frustrating. And Hocevar was frustrated with this. There's a lot of drivers that are afterwards. They're just going there and what the heck? What could I have done differently? And in this situation, you can't. I mean, Denny's going to beat himself up and say, woulda, shoulda, coulda, and I needed a push on the restart, but he was never going to get that push from Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson wasn't going to push him. I mean, right. Kyle Larson did it perfectly. Like, you watched them unfold, and I went back and I've watched it from in cars and everything else, and Larson did it perfectly. Like, he gave Hamlin a little bit of a bump, it looked like, and then he backed off and got a run himself, and then timed it so well and just jumped to his inside, where Denny didn't even have an opportunity to defend himself. And like, Larson just went for it, and that's what makes Larson so good, especially on these restarts. I don't know what Denny could have done there, and I'm really curious what Denny says tomorrow on Action Detrimental as he kind of walks us through this a little bit. What do you do? I mean, you're the leader, so you've got lane choice. So you can't say, well, I'm going to pick this lane because I'm going to get away from Kyle, because Kyle's going to pick, he can dictate after you. So it's just unfortunate part of it, but it is what makes these so interesting. And that it's sometimes, goes back to my earlier point, which is sometimes can feel like a little bit of a crapshoot, right? Like, you get all this race and everybody does everything right. And then, you take 2 tires, you take 4 tires, you get a great restart, this, that, or whatever. And then it's just boom, it doesn't matter.
Well, from that standpoint, right, you don't know that Larson's going to pick bottom behind you. Maybe you're like, well, maybe Larson's going to try to get around on the top, and then I'd have my teammate Bell behind me pushing, right? And I'd get a huge push and I'd clear. I'm just theorizing, because it's easy to say, okay, well, now we know Larson lines up, behind second row bottom, he's going to go 3 wide, right? Like, yeah. But at the time you're like, well, how's this going to play out? And you also don't know, like, if you line up on the top and he lines up top behind you, you're like, well, I need it. If I'm going to line up on the top, I need a push. And now I don't have one because he's not going to push me. Right. So yeah, it does put the leader in a vulnerable position. But still, somebody's got to capitalize. Somebody's got to figure it out. I just can't believe how remarkable it was that I was literally typing, Hendrick has stolen another one from Toyota for the second race at Kansas. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, delete. Tyler Reddick has come back to do it.
I had Kyle Larson typed out saying Kyle Larson wins, Kansas. Can we just take like inside baseball a little bit, like how we write this recap on the takeaways piece on the Athletic, and like we're in this document. And
we have a Google Doc together, joint Google Doc. Yeah.
And how many different times it was Denny Hamlin winning, it was Tyler Reddick, and then it was Larson.
I had like this lead written like with, as Denny's leading with 20 to go. And he's pulled away and he's gotten some redemption for Kansas last fall. And then you see Reddick coming in. I go, doot. I'm like, Tyler Reddick and Michael Jordan keep celebrating. And then Hamlin repassed it. I'm like, nope, cut. Put that one back up there.
I was wondering when you cut that, did you I'm like, I hope he saved that because that was really good. I'm like, did he just like tuck that away in another file? Like, I hope he didn't delete it. Like you were just able to reuse it because.
No, I just put it further down the page, and I just thought we could delete it later. But just like I don't know what's going to happen here. But and then it was going to be like neither of those were going to happen.
Yeah, then it was Larson. It was like,
I imagine if Toyota had Toyota's off to a great start. They don't really have anything to be sad about, winning 7 of the first 9. But imagine if they had given another Kansas race away to Hendrick on a day where they had, look, Larson led some laps. It was good, but it was still a Toyota day for the most part. So they would have just been like, oh,
what the, like a Monday meeting, team meeting. Okay, guys, we are going over late race restarts at Kansas. Here's what we're going to do from now on.
Yeah, that was crazy for sure. Well, I mean, let's talk about this though for Reddick, and because and I had asked him yesterday about this, and now even more so, right? But like, so you get through these first 3 races. He wins the first 3 races of the year. You're like, okay, that's nice. Okay, what? Why are you smiling?
I'm just waiting for the part where you acknowledge that they're big 3.
Oh, that's where you thought I was going with this?
Yeah,
okay.
Just because the whole thing was they got to win on an intermediate track. Okay. After Las Vegas, you were like, well, see, I told you. And you were right. They didn't grade Las Vegas. And now, the shoe's on their foot. Like, I don't know how you can't have the argument otherwise. Like, this team is legit. Like, this team is seriously legit.
Okay, well, so they win the first 3 races of the year. Right? Like 2 super speedways and a road course. And you're like, well, I don't know. I mean, that's great. Like he's running well, and he didn't win any last year. So he's going to have a good year, but now we're getting to the real tracks, the ovals, what's going to happen. And he's able to go win Darlington, a few weeks later, and you're like, okay, wow, that's pretty good. Right. Then they come here and they ran 4 cars today and all finished in the top 15. In addition to Reddick winning. And so you're like, man, I mean, no, they're really, I mean, we're a quarter way through the entire season, and we're much more than that, obviously, through the regular season. And he's got a 105-point lead. So clearly, Jordan, I mean, this is one of the big 3 teams. I don't know why you keep denying that. I don't know why you come on this podcast every week and say, no, they're not in the big 3. No. Jeff, it's just a Hendrick and JGR show. You should be ashamed of yourself, frankly.
I was wrong. I would thought this was more 2311 Washington Wizards type with Michael Jordan than 2311 Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan. Like, I was wrong. Like, I thought they were just going to, bumble and stuff. They got lucky at Daytona. Atlanta's, it's a draft track, road course, whatever. Like, get to a real track. In Darlington, like, you couldn't pass it. Darlington is all track position, no big deal. Now Get to a real, and like even today, Denny Hamlin probably should have won this race, but what can you say? I need to see more from 2311. The pedigree isn't there. Here at the end of the day, it's about the rings, and they don't have any rings, and that's what it's about.
Breaking news here in the NASCAR podcast universe: we have the first ever utterance on the teardown of Jordan Bianchi saying, "I was wrong." Clip that, everybody. Yeah. Even though it was reverse psychology and he was playing a part.
I just want to point out, because I know there's some people like 2311 listen to this show. They know where I stand on this. Like, I mean, this team they've done a really good job. And today, this isn't just Reddick going on a hot streak and everything. Like, Bubba had a great day today. Corey Heim, top 10 in stage 1, got stage points. And listen, Riley Herbst is a pinata. He gets a lot of grief and everything. but he was having a good race last week at Bristol. Then it went sideways. Qualified well. Comes to Las Vegas, has a good finish. Like this organizationally, they're legit. And I go back to the conversation we had earlier this year. You look at them and compare them to Penske, and what team would you take? And it's obviously it would be 23XI because on every style track they are good to great. Where Penske has some sweet spots, but they don't do well on road courses, and they are hit or miss on intermediate tracks. And right now, there is no reason to think we're a long way to the year. And someone asked the question to Reddick after the race and about, can you be the championship favorite? Like, he certainly is the championship. Like, there's no reason to think that he can't go win the championship, especially when you look at how the playoffs set up. The chase sets up. Martinsville is really the only track in those 10 races that you look at and go, man, that could be a struggle for them. But other than that, those 9 races are set up pretty favorable for him.
Well, he just won Darlington, and Darlington's in the playoffs.
Yep.
He just won Kansas. Kansas is in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We know he can win on the super speedway, of course. He could
Homestead.
Sure. Yeah. Any of the intermediates, you could say. They did struggle at Vegas a little bit, but
okay.
But the other teams, like you said, there's some weaknesses, right? Like, because you mentioned Penske, and Kyle Larson after the race said on pit road, look, I feel pretty good about where we are in the intermediates. Yeah, they didn't have the organizational wide day, in terms of the finish. Although I think Byron came back up to finish 7th, and Elliott was 8th. Elliott was 8th, Byron was 7th, Bowman was 18th. But
Bowman had a good
Larson
run
was like,
Bowman had a good run today too. Just quick shout out to him.
Yeah, he got up there in the top 10 for a little bit. But anyway, Larson was like, I'm not really worried about the intermediates. It's the short tracks where I think we have a lot of work to do. But then you go and look at like the JGR cars and even 23XI to an extent, and they don't have as many weaknesses. It doesn't feel like, right? You there's nowhere where you go, they're really behind here. So I think that's where, when you get to a chase situation, if that's still the situation this summer, and we'll track it all throughout the rest of the spring and the summer, who's doing what. But right now, I do think that you can make a great case for 23XI being part of the big three. I can't get the words out of my mouth. I don't know if I believe this.
Well, here's the question for you. There's reason to be encouraged if you're Hendrick Motorsports, but there is such a difference between what Kyle Larson has been able to do most weeks and then the other 3 cars. The 24 too has been really quiet. Elliott's been up and down. The 48, I just almost feel like you just kind of have to forget about them right now. They're, Alex is just getting back, but it's interesting, the dichotomy right now within Hendrick Motorsports, where it really feels like most weeks Kyle Larson's going to figure it out. They're one way or another, whether they have a fast car, they pit strategy or whatever, they're going to put themselves in contention. But the other Hendrick cars are still searching, finding their way a little bit. I'm just wondering, at some point, they're going to have to get on the same page.
Yeah, I will say though that, and I couldn't, I've gone back and watched this replay a couple times. I didn't watch his in-car, but coming to the white flag of overtime, Chase Elliott was basically either 4th or 5th, tied for 4th, basically. And then he sort of fades out of the picture, and you don't really see what happens, and he ends up finishing 8th. So I don't know what happened there, but that could have looked a lot different for him too, right? So anyway, but
just real quick, just like even at Bristol though, he was kind of an afterthought at Bristol, so it's just like Larson week to week has this great consistency, which is fantastic, and is a testament to that team. We're just not seeing it right now from across the board. That's all.
Yeah, I think to me today, like the big alarm bells of the contenders is Blaney.
Oh, absolutely.
Because before, you're like, look, one of these people is going to win the championship. Reddick, Hamlin, Larson, Elliott, Byron, Bell, Briscoe, Blaney. But you've sort of seen, like, Briscoe still hasn't been able to. Briscoe's finally in the chase, by the way. After this, he took those 4 tires, restarted 11th, drove all the way up to 3rd. So he needed that. But, I'm not Blaney, given that there's 5 intermediate tracks in the playoffs. And Denny on his podcast last week is saying, well, Blaney might be the best driver overall this year. And you could make a case for that, but then they get to these intermediates and you're like, whoa, this is not good. Like, just like Logano was out to lunch at Darlington. Logano was out to lunch again today, finished 30th, 2 laps down. Blaney was 24th, 1 lap down, comes on the radio at one point, says, I can't even tell you how bad we are with expletive. Cindric actually, he had gotten up there. He finished 12th. But you're just like, what is going on with those cars? Like, for an intermediate track that is so important to the playoffs, the chase, you really need to see more from those places,
I agree with that. I agree. And this has been an issue with Penske for a while on intermediate tracks. When is the last time we rolled into an intermediate track like we do with, Toyota, for example? And we're like, man, Penske on the intermediate tracks, you go to Las Vegas, Kansas, wherever, they're the team to beat. I will say this about Ryan Blaney, though. Was having a solid-ish day, was kind of running somewhere around the top 10, but then he got damaged on pit road when he hit AJ Allmendinger. The damage, they didn't think initially that was bad. But then it was actually, there was like a hole in the splitter and they had to make a repair. So they came back down pit road, made the repair, and they started in the back. And I'm presuming that they didn't get the car right because he was never the same and he never was able to get track position. So there's obviously something more there. Was running okay. But this is indicative of an issue we've seen with the 12 team on intermediate tracks. Go back to Las Vegas. Similar type situation. Having a decent day, running well, they get behind and they were never able to get back and they finished 16th. And it's just on intermediate racetracks, when they get behind, they have a real hard time of getting that track position back and having that speed to get back up to the front. They were able to do it at Phoenix when they had the issues on pit road. At Bristol too, they had a fast enough race car they could overcome those issues. They don't have the speed on intermediate racetracks to do that, and that is a concern. If you give Blaney track position and he's going to run, somewhere 10th to 15th or somewhere in there, great. He's going to be able to hold that for you. But if they get behind for whatever reason, it's lights out, days over.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what, there was I don't know what to make of this Trackhouse thing. And I know this is going to be a talking point too. Going into this yesterday, Ross Chastain comes in and for the normal media session thing, and we're asking him questions and stuff. And he's like, listen, if the grip is there, all three of us will go fast. We're all three fully capable of pushing the gas pedal. But I was like talking about, well, as you've gotten to these tracks and you're trying to figure out what speed you have and all stuff. And he said, we see what we have. We see what speed we have. The Band-Aid's off. We're trying. And they just do not have it right now. And it's not looking good for them. I mean, all three of their cars were 2 laps down at one point, like about halfway through the race. Chastain finishes 26th. Zilich finishes 29th. And SVG finishes 36th. SVG finally, as he was clinging on to that playoff chase spot, now falls out. So now he's down to 18th in points. And Suarez, let's see. Oh, Briscoe jumped in. Briscoe's the one that jumped in today. Suarez fell to the cut line, and he is plus 13 points on Austin Cindric, who has made some steady ground and to get himself back in the mix. But just for Trackhouse right now, it just does not. I mean, talking playoffs doesn't even seem. Yeah, Chastain's 20th in points, but it doesn't. They don't seem to have anything going for them right now. It's kind of startling. I mean, Ross Chastain won here a year and a half ago in the playoff race at Kansas in the next gen car. I mean, what
won Charlotte last year?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but since that Charlotte win, Jeff, though, how many top 5 finishes do you think Ross Chastain has had since?
I don't know.
Yeah, two.
He only has one top 15 this year.
Yeah. And one of those, so these 2 top 5 finishes that Chastain has since winning at Charlotte last year, one came at Martinsville, short track. The other came at Atlanta, drafting track.
Yeah, he was 3rd at Atlanta this year. That's his only top 15 of this season.
Yeah. So that just shows you on traditional tracks, like Ross is a great driver. He works really hard. He's a great defender, great passer. Like, he will maximize anything you have out of the race car. The issues right now are not with the drivers, and SVG is great. I mean, SVG is very good. Zilich is going to be very good, but they do not have the equipment, and you can't. ask them to make this beautiful recipe if you're giving them a bunch of cheap ingredients. And right now, the ingredients that they're getting are not good. And they don't have speed in their race cars. You can't expect them to go out there and run well. And it's frustrating. You can see the frustration building in these guys and what they say, but not just what they say, it's how they say it and their faces and what they're not saying. And you can just, you ask them about, I mean, you probably saw this weekend. You asked Ross, like, hey, what's going on? And it's just like, you can just see it. Like, you know, it's almost like they're biting their tongue, how bad it is.
Yeah.
And that's
trying not to throw his team under the bus sort of response.
Exactly. And it's the same thing. And so what do you do? But it goes back to, if you're going to get better and make improvements, you've got to have direction. And behind the scenes, they don't have direction. They don't have the leadership in place, and they're struggling right now. And it's been that way for some time. This isn't like a short window. It's not like they're off to a slow start this year, like, 9 races into the year, just whatever reason they got behind. This really goes back to last summer. And since last summer on oval tracks, they have been slow.
Wow. Do you want to talk about the race itself now, or do you want to keep talking about some team stuff? Or
no, can we just real quick? And I feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point, man. Oh, here's a question for you. Who turns it around first, Trackhouse or Richard Childress Racing?
That's a good question. I think I'm more inclined to say Trackhouse, in the sense that I don't think they've been in a slump or been down for as long. And I think when you're down for a longer time, it sort of makes it feel like a bigger hole, and it's probably tougher to dig out of, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's not ideal for either of them right now. And obviously the Kyle Busch narrative was very loud this weekend. I assume that's where you're going with this.
Yeah. I mean, it's not good. It's just not good. I don't know what else to say. And Denny took some flack, but what Denny said was accurate. I mean, Kyle's not the same driver, but the team has also got to give him cars that are better than this, and they're not right now. It's a combination of factors, and that's the problem. Is there is no light at the tunnel right now for RCR. It doesn't feel like.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we have both experienced this ourselves, where somebody like I find it hard to believe that Kyle went and listened to the entire 12-minute. I mean, Denny had a very long, thoughtful analysis of this, where he was talking about both sides, and it was a 12.5-minute clip about Kyle. But then that gets distilled down to the social media clip that's like, what, a minute, something like that, right? And we live in a clip culture now. A lot of people, we appreciate those of you who are listening to this full episode or watching the full episode, right?
But we also appreciate those who listen to the clips.
Well, but I'm saying there are people that come up to us, and you can tell that, oh, love your show. And you're like, they'll say something, and you're like, oh yeah, you just watched that clip. Because the clip is not always representative of exactly our full opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a sample. It's a sample of what was said. It tells you, it's like, here's a little insight on what our conversation was about. But some of these things take several minutes to talk about, and you see a 30-second clip. I imagine that Kyle saw a clip from Denny's show, right? And is reacting to that. Or somebody said, oh, did you see what Denny said about you? Oh man, Denny was hard. Denny said you can't drive anymore, and he's like, what? So maybe he didn't even see a clip, and that's what he's reacting to. But I don't know. Like I get it from Kyle's standpoint. I think it's really actually quite easy to put yourself in Kyle's shoes in a way, because you can go with it two directions and see the dilemma. You can either be out front when you're getting asked these, because he came in with a very positive attitude yesterday for the media session, and was quite pleasant, right? Hadn't gone out on the track yet or anything, hadn't qualified, but he's trying to answer the questions and trying to stay upbeat, and getting asked about Jim Pullman and Derek Nealon's comments last week. He's getting asked about the Riley Herbst incident, all that stuff. And, he's answering the questions. And then at the very end, I asked about the social media outcry and put Denny in that.
Why do you got to be like that? Just stirring.
Well, I was asking about the conversation in general. And as soon as I said the word Denny as part of that, I was like, I want to know about the conversation. How much is he paying attention to the discourse, right? And when I threw Denny's name in there, he immediately, I didn't finish the question, right? So he was waiting for somebody to ask him about that.
Unbelievable.
But so from Kyle's standpoint, you have two ways you can go with it, right? You can either be out front saying, yeah, my team sucks. Our cars are slow. It's not me. I can't do anything. I'm frustrated. And then everybody goes, Kyle's not a team player. He's throwing his team under the bus. He's part of the problem. He's being negative, all this stuff, right? Or if you're Kyle, then you can say, now, wait a minute. I'm going to say, well, we're just trying to get things turned around. You're quieter on the radio. And everybody goes, Kyle Busch doesn't care. Kyle Busch is checked out. Kyle Busch has given up, right? Those are the two ways you can go. So I, from his standpoint, I don't know what the right thing to do is, because clearly behind the scenes, things need to get better. Like, this is unacceptable. But I also don't know. It's not like you can just change it. And you just say, you could storm into a meeting and say, dang it, what the hell's going on? Like, you guys get me a better car. Like, what's that going to do in this era? What's that going to do? These are big, slow moving cargo ships, and you're in the port facing a certain way. And the captain has to come in and slowly turn it around facing the right way. It's not like a little speedboat where you just go, oops, wrong direction, guys. Let's try this. And suddenly everything's fixed. It's a huge lumbering process to get this right. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's so close. So I think if you're Kyle, you just keep sort of plodding away. You keep sort of trying to put your head down and digging. Yes, I do agree with Denny that he could probably carry the car to better finishes and get better finishes. But here's the thing also, Jordan, I don't think Kyle Busch cares about the chase, so to speak, right? No. Like, I don't think he cares about just making it or, oh, look, guys, I made the playoffs. Yay. No. That's not Kyle Busch.
It's about winning races and winning championships.
Exactly.
And being consistently competitive and all that stuff. Just to check a box and say you made the playoff. I'm sorry, the chase. Is like, he doesn't care. Like, who cares? Like, what? That's me. If we're gonna go and make the chase and we're gonna finish 15th, what does it matter?
That's so irrelevant to him. Yeah. Yes, he's here to win races. He's here to be one of the greatest. And so when it's like, well, wait a minute now, you had a 15th place car day and you made a mistake and now you finished 25th and you threw a bunch of points away or something like that. It's like you might not make the chase. It's like he's thinking, I've got bigger problems here. Okay. Like, I need to be winning again. And I'm not even close. So now, of course, watch, he'll go to Talladega next week and suddenly win and everybody will be happy again. So
I agree with you. And I want to say this, like, Kyle publicly has handled this very, very well. And like, even on the radio and stuff, those we listen to his radio every week. Like, he hasn't had any meltdowns. He hasn't had any pointed criticisms. He hasn't blown up. This isn't Kyle from 2010. Like, he's actually handled this extremely well, considering how frustrating this has been and how this just continues to seem like it's the same things over and over again. He has done a really good job of that. But it also is fair to say, like, he is probably not the same driver that he once was. And this car does not suit his skill set. There are intricacies about this car that negate the best things he does. He used to handle loose race cars, out of control, fast, loose race cars better than anybody. And that was part of what made him so good. These cars suck to the ground and they're so, what does everybody say? They're so easy to drive. They don't spin out, that kind of thing. And so the complete dynamics have changed. Now it's on him to figure that out, because Kyle Larson has figured that out, and Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin and so on and so on. All the drivers that we talk about on a regular basis, guess what? They were also great and good under the other car. And they've been able to figure out this car. And it needs to be said, like, his teammate, Austin Dillon, has got 2 wins over the last 2 years. Kyle Busch has 0. Like, that's the reality of the situation. And so there's a lot of things here. It's not just one thing. And that's part of the problem. It's just, you can't just sit there and go, it's the car, it's this, we need to do this. It's like 50 different things with the car, and it's also something with the driver as well.
I'm going to maintain. I don't think Kyle Busch is washed. He's 40 years old.
I don't think he's washed, but I don't think he's the same driver.
I think if you give him a good car, he could suddenly look. I was talking to Brad Keselowski in the media session yesterday, and I was saying, hey, there's this whole conversation around Kyle Busch and how he hasn't been able to adapt to the car. And I said, how different, is this next gen car really to drive than some of the other cars? And he was answering it. And part of his answer was to say that Kyle Busch can't adapt to the car. He's like, that is such BS. Like, that's just not true. So to me, it's a car situation there. And when look, this is one of the most frustrating things about covering racing over the years is it's like you want to paint this narrative because somebody will, take a leap like Suarez this year, right? Suarez will suddenly, and we're like, oh, it's a new situation and maybe he's more motivated and he's trying to prove it to Trackhouse. And you talk to him, he's like, no, my cars are faster. I look better because my cars are faster. Like that is 90% of this whole sport. Yeah. So we always want to be like, well, this guy's more motivated, or he's more disciplined in the off season, or he has a new attitude, or maybe this person's checked out and now he's not doing as well, but it's the car. Yes, the driver can make a difference, but it's the degree of the car that they have. Right. So I just don't think if you put Kyle Busch in a great car, he's going to go fast. Right now, he's not in a great car. He's not going fast. That's what it is to me. So yes, could he get slightly better finishes than he is? He probably could. Could he win with this car? No, not right now.
I think what is really it's unfortunate how this is going is that the way Kyle Busch's career is going is in a direction that we've seen a lot of former champions go down, where they're just kind of out there running laps. They're not a factor anymore. We've seen that with a lot of former champions. And we've seen Denny Hamlin talk about this. Denny Hamlin has said, I want to retire as close to my peak as I can. And that's why he wants to leave after 27. He's like, I feel like I don't want to be one of those guys who's just out there doing laps. And the unfortunate reality for Kyle, who's going to be 41 next month, is he is going down a path where he is essentially going to be irrelevant on the racetrack. Like, if you look at this situation, and he's a free agent, whether he resigns with, RCR or not, that's a conversation we can have. But like, they're struggling and they're not in the right spot. And all of a sudden think they're going to turn into world beaters, is really that seems a little far-fetched. And then, okay, so let's say he decides to go somewhere else, and you look at the landscape, he's not going to a big team. He's not going to a Hendrick Motorsports. He's not going to 2311. He's not going back to Joe Gibbs Racing. Like, what are his options? And you start looking at where the landscape is, and it's going to be in a similar situation where it's a team with, they got some potential and promise, but they also got some warts, and it's not a great situation. And there's a real conversation of like, does Kyle Busch win a race again at the Cup Series level? I mean, yes, he can win a Daytona and Talladega, and we all know that. But I'm talking like a bona fide, straight up win somewhere. Are we going to see that again? It's becoming increasingly likely that the answer is no.
I don't know, man. I think he could still race for like another 7 years or something. So that's disagree.
No, I don't disagree with that. I agree with that. He could. But my point is, like, what team is he going to end up with that is going to meet that is going to give him consistently competitive equipment that's going to allow him to do that right now? And if you look at the landscape, the pickings are slim, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he certainly has burned a lot of bridges over the course of his career. And so that's a factor you have to take into consideration as well, for sure. All right. So we started to talk about this race. Now, listen, 2 years ago, I'm sitting here after this race. I mean, this is one of the greatest NASCAR races I've ever seen. The 2024 spring Kansas race, in my good race poll, out of again, this is over 10 years now where I've been doing this, 384 races. I've asked people, was it a good race? Kansas spring race 2 years ago is number one race of all time, 95.8%. Obviously, it ended in the closest finish in NASCAR history with Larson and Buescher, but it was also just a banger all the way through. Just an outstanding race. And Kansas for a while there was just, I mean, Kansas spring race 2023, 93%. 2025 fall last year, the one that Chase Elliott won, that was, crazy finish, 90.7%. 2022 Kansas spring, also with the next gen car, 90.1%. So Kansas has been like really, really good, but it's also had a couple races here and there that have popped up where you're like, what happened here? Such as last spring's Kansas race, the one that followed the greatest one ever, only got 58% on the pole. It wasn't that good of a race. You're like, oh, what, Kansas, are you okay? What happened? And so I think today was another one of those, right? Where you're like, I'm sitting up at the press box watching this and they're spread out and you're like, well, it's fine, but it's not the Kansas that we all knew and loved for a little bit. So I'm like, what's going on here? Now, obviously, then you have the crazy finish. Well, it was going to be decent even before the caution, right? Because you had Reddick track down Hamlin. Hamlin passed him back. It was kind of going to have a good natural finish. But
then, Reddick had an issue that allowed Hamlin to pass him back, though. Like, let's say that it wasn't like
the fuel pump thing.
Yeah. So like Reddick's car.
But Reddick said too, he got distracted and hit the wall.
Yeah. While
trying to figure that out. So he said that was part of it too. Like he said, I was trying to figure this out, lost focus for a minute. I hit the wall. So, anyway, so then you have overtime, but so I guess the question is, how are people going to vote on this? First of all, how did you see the race, Jordan? I mean, what did you think of it?
I saw it much like you. It was a track position race in a lot of respects. Now the last 20, 30 laps were good. And, Reddick being able to run down and pass Hamlin was great. Part of that was the fact that Hamlin had, tires, older tires, and that's part of it. That's what we want to see, and that's great. But this, I think, overall was not a great race. Denny Hamlin dominated stage one. Kyle Larson got control and track position in stage two, and it felt like if you got track position, you were going to be okay. This wasn't a banger of a Kansas race, and you go back to last year. Larson led 221 to 267 laps. This one wasn't as bad, but it certainly felt like you kind of knew who was going to be it was going to be like two or three guys were going to be the winner, and it was just kind of depend on different things, and it didn't have that excitement that we want to see on intermediate tracks. And I think, I think what is concerning is that I don't think this is just a Kansas specific problem. We have talked a lot about how this car is so great on intermediate racetracks. And when you go to an intermediate racetrack, it's like, man, awesome. We love this, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking more and more, Jeff, on how that's not we can't count on that as much. Last spring at Kansas, this spring race, Las Vegas earlier this year. We're starting to get more and more of these races on intermediate racetracks. You're like, this kind of feels like the old days a little bit, where it's track position and maintaining that, and you don't have guys being able to make passes and that kind of thing. That is concerning, because as we've talked ad nauseum about this car and all of the the issues that this car has, and it doesn't run well, we feel like, on short tracks or road courses, and people that take exception to it on super speedways. What is the one thing we've always been able to hang our hat on with this car? It runs great.
It's good on intermediates.
Yes.
Yep.
And that is increasingly becoming less and less so. And I am very curious to see what the upcoming race at Texas is like. And I'm really curious to see what the 600 is like, because I think those are going to be two races, especially the 600 is going to be really indicative of the state of this car on intermediate racetracks.
Oh man, yeah. If Charlotte's bad, if that's not a good race, all of a sudden people are going to go, uh-oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, because that's been like a slam dunk recently. Well, you won the poll last week.
I did.
And again, I forgot to. Didn't you? Yeah,
I did. Seriously?
I thought you said 70. Didn't you say 70?
I can't believe. I don't even remember what I guessed. I just thought I got smoked.
I thought you said 70 and I said 63, and it was like 67.
I don't know what I guess. I won. I'll take the win. Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know if Big Joe Wall texted me this week. Sorry, he's probably listening.
Okay, no. You said I won. You said I won. That counts. You can't take it back.
No, Big Joe Wall is the scorekeeper of all this, but I think you won. So
right, taking it.
Anyway, we know Chase Briscoe did not win. Poor Chase. And he has already submitted his guess, so I will read his first. And no, that's not fair. That's not fair.
I go first. I go first.
Okay.
Then you read his, because I don't want to, 60%.
Oh. Uh-oh. That's not good for Chase.
What did he guess?
Well, Chase guessed 66.1.
Okay.
Now Chase Briscoe had a great view of the finish of the race.
He drives a Toyota. Of course he's feeling good.
He had a great view. He restarted 11th. He was the first one with 4 tires. Yeah. The top 10 took 2 tires. I think it was the top 10. They took 2 tires. He restarts 11th, and he screams up through the field, and he's like, wow, this is cool. Yeah, but I don't know.
He could have won.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to guess lower than 60 because I thought this was going to be about a 50-50 race until the overtime. And I think that was going to bump it up. So I was going to say 55 because this is a dicey one this week.
Oh, we're still
at 55. You're at 60 and he's at 66. So this is gonna come down to the interesting. Now people asked me about this at the tweet up this week. So I'll bring it up to you guys. If you want to vote on the Good Race poll, you may have to make a conscious effort to go seek it out on Monday. I will pin it on my profile, but I don't know if you guys have saw my post the last couple of weeks where the voting totals have been down. I guess X is now viewing polls as like engagement bait or something, and they're trying to devalue the polling in general. That's what Gluck said. So it's hard. It's getting hard. The poll numbers, this has been insane. I had 24,000 Atlanta, 28,000 Daytona, although that's Daytona, 18,000 at Coda, 17,000 Darlington, 16,000 Phoenix, 16,000 Vegas. And then all of a sudden Martinsville went down to 9,000. It was like, that was weird. Under 10,000 votes. Then Bristol had 3,000 votes, only 3,000. And then, so I tweeted and I was like, hey, any theories on this? And all the replies, if you look, I never saw the poll. I have to go look for the poll now. I've stopped seeing the poll. They stopped showing me the poll. So our friend Elon there with X, they've changed the algorithm, and apparently they're not necessarily showing the poll to everybody. So you may want to go, if you want to vote, again, I will pin it to my profile. I put it every Monday morning, even in the comments right now. People are saying I have to intentionally search for the poll every week right here in the live chat. So anyway, sorry about that. I hope that X changed their algorithm back, but please vote if you'd like to. Although 3,000 is fine, but I'm just I would like to have everybody be able to weigh in. So anyway, by the way, can we talk Cletus really quick? I know people are.
Sure, absolutely. I have an experience with Cletus. Go ahead. I want to know.
You have an experience?
Well, I don't know if it's really an experience. I was at Rockingham for the Raleigh and the truck race, and I know who Cletus is, and I get it. I've seen it and everything, but I really witnessed it firsthand. This was really the first time I witnessed it firsthand. I didn't get an opportunity at Daytona because there's a lot going on, but I was up close and personal. And I can't tell you, this is a standalone weekend, no cup. And I can't tell you the number of people that were standing outside of the RCR hauler waiting for him just to come out. And then they followed him to the grid. And that was it was like, whoa. And I really saw it. Wow, this guy's got it. And then it was even after the ARCA race. I forgot where he finished. It doesn't even matter. Gets out of the car.
Yeah.
He gets out of the race car in the front stretch. And people are just going crazy. And he's talking to the crowd, and the engagement and the connection he has with people is remarkable. It was really eye-opening at Rockingham for me of seeing it firsthand.
Yeah, I had a similar experience this weekend, right? Like going in the ARCA garage yesterday, and people are on the other side of the fence, not even in the garage of where the hauler is, and just trying to like see if he's in there or going to come out. And driver intros, like the ARCA race, I think it was like at 11 a.m. yesterday morning. There's like nobody here. It looked like the stands were empty. And then they introduce Cletus, and it was like a roar. The people that were there, like, and there was just Cletus t-shirts everywhere. It was really, he's got a really dedicated group, and he got up into the top 10 in the ARCA race, and the motor blew. Unbelievable save, by the way, of that car. Once the motor blew, but so we go to the care center, and we're waiting out there, and it's like Caitlin Vincey and Carson Hocevar shows up to waiting for Cletus to come out. And he comes out, and you saw it if you're watching the ARCA race, or maybe you saw it online, but they have like the most hilarious, and I'm just standing right behind the camera, and I'm just like, man, this is gold. This is like so entertaining. And then of course he comes over to the three media people that were standing there, all of their camera phones, to try to get video of this, right? Great. Like it, and you're just like, man, this guy, he really does get it. And I think, look, did he get rushed? Absolutely.
Sure. No doubt. There's no argument.
Like, to go from, hey, it's your first truck race, you wrecked after 6 laps, you're approved for O'Reilly. And I get that, they were trying to get him into a different kind of track and a different kind of race where, super speedways are totally different. So if you could just be safe enough to hold your own, maybe we could approve you, but it was too fast. Right. But I think on the other side of that, he is so good for the ARCA series. I mean, the attention that he's bringing onto ARCA, which how many, especially post-pandemic, like a couple of years, they were like, I'm not even sure of the purpose of ARCA. It's like 2 good cars, and you're just like, oh, this is who
they get like so 18, irrelevant. 20 cars. It's the quality, depth of the field isn't there, but I agree. But you started to have like a lot of the younger drivers, going to Cars Tour or going dirt racing, or it wasn't like ARCA Busch Cup, the old school way. But I think like he's enthusiastic about ARCA, right? Like LS George is enthusiastic. And right now ARCA has like this cool mix of, you had Destiny Spurlock, who the first Black woman to be in ARCA, finished top 10. Jade Avedissian. What a badass save, by the way, that she had.
Yeah. I think you had like 3 or 4 women at one point that were up in the top 10. You've got the Cletus factor. He's pulling the 3 wide move. He's making ARCA, obviously other people are too, but he's bringing attention in a really positive way. If he's willing to stay patient and really like, just be like, look, I am going to build it in ARCA. I enjoy this. I'm going to do this. Maybe not full time, because he's got other stuff to do. Right. But I think that could be really tremendous, because then you can slow build into trucks, get more experience. Then you can slow build into O'Reilly. And maybe he does enough to get ready for O'Reilly by the end of the year. But I think right now it's like, you could say what you want about the approval process, but him being in ARCA specifically is a huge win, I think, to draw eyeballs.
I agree. And he needs to run ARCA. He needs to run on all sorts of different tracks in ARCA. You just go and get laps, and that's the most important thing. And it's this, listen, as you said, like, there's no doubt, like, the approval process, he was rushed. He shouldn't have been put in that position. He shouldn't have been in the car at Rockingham, period, in the O'Reilly series. But you can watch this. One, he is committed to this. This isn't like some, whim. He is legit all in on this. He is taking this seriously. He's doing the things he needs to do. And as you sit here, we have this conversation about NASCAR and how can it, maybe get some relevancy back and have a connection with people. This is the guy in a lot of respects. Like, pie in the sky, if this guy can figure it out and start having some success a little bit and starting to build up a bona fide resume, that's going to do great for NASCAR. And I don't even know if he needs to be in the Cup Series, to be honest with you. But if he can go and have some success in the Truck Series or in the O'Reilly Series, that's going to get people to tune in and gets people excited and gets them out to the racetrack. When have we ever sat here and had a conversation about the ARCA Series? When had people on social media outside of the select few been like, man, ARCA's today, I got to watch this? Like he has turned the ARCA into almost a virtual must watch, and it's helped reborn that series a little bit. It's a good thing. And I don't know what you can do. I don't know how you bottle it. I don't know how you take it, but whatever he has is you've got to figure out a way to like extrapolate that and give it to some of the other people in this sport, because the connection and the feeling that he elicits from people is remarkable. And it's just when you sit there and you can sit there and hear the roar of the crowd anytime he's put on the Jumbotron or his name is mentioned. Man, that's special.
Well, and he's only 31 years old too. Like he just turned 31. So like, depending on what his vision for this is, hey, I want to come run 6 races a year, whatever it is, in various NASCAR. I mean, it's great. So, I'm sold on it. I know a lot of other, and the reason I bring this up, by the way, is because, it's like, I'll post a video or I'll mention here he is. And the amount of negative replies, like there's a lot of people like, this is cool. I love this interview or something like that. But like a lot of people are like very down on it.
I'm shocked. People are negative on social media.
Well, I'm just like, man, I think they're kind of missing the boat here. But anyway.
And that's where I get like, I understand that if you're like, oh, this guy is just he doesn't really care about this. He's just, he's a ringer, that kind of thing. He's here for trying to make money or whatever. It's like, this dude cares. This guy likes it. He gets it. Like this isn't, he's just doing it just because. It's like, there is a legitimate love for this. And I don't think that gets appreciated enough. And that's why those people that criticize this, it's like, why? This is not a bad thing. And the approval process and getting rushed or anything, like, yeah, that could have been smoothed out a little bit better. But overall, he's doing things the right way.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, look, he doesn't have the stock car racing experience, but he's a driver. Like he's a wheelman to me.
Yeah.
Like you watch the way he's able to drift, and the car control is not a problem. The restart's not a problem because he does drag racing. Right. Like, so you see, he's not going to spin his tires and stuff like that. Like there's elements that he has of it. He's just got to learn how to race a stock car on an oval, but I think he can do it. Anyway.
This isn't like, WrestleMania is going on tonight. This isn't like some celebrity showing up. Jelly Roll last night was at WrestleMania. And it's like, people are like, what the hell is this guy doing here? He doesn't really, shouldn't be here. Like this is the complete antithesis of it. This guy gets it. He loves it. He appreciates it.
What did we forget here? Anything else?
I got everything on my list.
Okay.
You want to talk O'Reilly last night or anything? Or anything happened in the race? I mean, thank goodness that Carson.
Well, there was a flip. Yeah. I don't know. I that was one of those situations where I don't think people need to overreact there, because to me, like, he got out of shape. It was one of those things where, once you get enough air, just a little tiny bit of air under these cars, and then he got hit by Retzloff, and that was what sent him airborne. Now I'm glad once he was airborne, he didn't, get hit again or go into the fence. That's what scares me, is a car getting into the fence and getting torn up.
He's at the front of the field too, so there's ample opportunity for someone to pile in.
Yeah, but like just sort of like the lazy sort of rolls it was doing. Like I didn't watch that wreck and I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope we didn't just see somebody get killed or something. Like I thought, I never, like the whole time I was like, oh, he's likely fine. To me, like that looked like one of those rolls where you're like, he just went over.
It's just to me, it's just the thing, we don't see that on an intermediate racetrack. Very, very rare.
Yeah.
And I think that was the eye-popping thing of like, this just happened. It's like, whoa, wait a second. There's a lot of things that went into that. And I don't think it's like, oh my goodness, there's a concern here or anything of that nature. Obviously you want to keep the cars on the ground, but a lot of different things went into the why he flipped. But it's just seeing that happen on an intermediate track was like, whoa, okay.
Was Austin Hill right to be pissed at Jesse Love?
I mean, yes. I mean, you don't need to race your teammate like that in that situation. There's a better way to do that, but I don't know if Austin Hill is the same guy who should be criticizing how teammates race him, because he also doesn't race his teammates the best either. Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, and Austin Hill lives in a glass house when it comes to teammate ethics. So it's a hard thing to do, but yeah, that's a situation. You just don't need to do that in that situation. But that's part of it. I think people lose sight of this sometimes. Like, it's part of the O'Reilly series, man. A lot of these guys are young, and I know Jesse Love has got experience and everything, but you're still figuring it out.
Yeah, Jesse Love drove right onto his door and kind of sucked him around, but
unnecessary.
But at the same time, that will be so far in the past by the time they get to Talladega, because those two guys at Talladega absolutely need each other. The RCR cars are fast there. They've got to work together all day. So I'm sure it'll be like a very quick, like, no, we're good. We're good. Like neither one of them are going to want to be like, give a reason to not have the other one work with them. So they'll be working together fine.
I don't mean to pile on, but I'm going to pile on, I guess. What is it going to be like at RCR this week in the competition meet? You had everything that happened in the Cup race. The 18 had another weekend. They had a mechanical failure, it seemed like, with the brakes. They're not running well. You had all of the comments and everything about Kyle. And then you had the incident in the O'Reilly race between Jesse and Austin. Man, I can't imagine that's a happy place going to be this week.
Yeah, I don't know. Austin, hey, you know what though? Austin Dillon, he finished 16th.
Yeah.
So there's something to talk about.
Austin Dillon's getting the most out of his race car.
Ooh.
Maybe Kyle Busch can take notes.
Yikes. All right. Well, I guess that's probably all we have from Kansas, everybody. Jordan and I are planning to both be at Talladega. The weather, let's not.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to change.
Let's get that forecast changed. It is a week out. It's not going to be as rainy as it looks right now. It's going to be all good. So now, Jordan, we got bad news this week, though, about our Talladega trip. Tasty Town, our favorite restaurant, Tasty Town, closed. This is terrible. How could they do this to us?
I love that place. It's amazing. Great Greek food.
If they could have just stayed open for one more week.
Seriously. You make a phone call or something. Hey guys, I'm sure you got some like leftover ingredients in the kitchen. Can we just get like a chef to whip some things up?
We just told it. Didn't we talk about Tasty Town on the podcast? We talked about it.
Yeah, you talked about it to everybody, and we had a show up.
I remember.
I
remember.
Thank you for that.
Well, now it's closed. I was trying to give them business. Anyway, don't go to Tasty Town, everybody. It's not there anymore.
So anyway, we need to if you have a great restaurant recommendation for Birmingham.
That's open late. We need it open late after the podcast. That's what the whole 10 p.m., 11 p.m., please.
Well, Friday, Saturday too. Saturday I've already got plans on Saturday, but like Friday night.
You do?
Yeah, of course I do. It's Birmingham. You know what I do in Birmingham.
You do your best work on Saturday nights.
I do.
All right, everybody. Well, on that note, thanks as always for listening, and we will talk to you next time on The Teardown. See you, everybody.